Welcome to another edition of Anglican Unscripted. This is episode 261, the Friday Leftovers edition. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. Today's December 16th, 2016.
Did you say December 16th? Are you seriously? All right. I got to get some more shopping done. I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. Thank God for Amazon and their delivery and Prime and all that. I did want to talk to you guys about something. You've heard of, I guess it's called Cyber Monday, Black Friday, Shrove Tuesday, all these different things that we have hashtags for. It's time where you help donate and give money or spend your own money in the Christmas season. I'm going to introduce a brand new day. It's called Friday Leftovers. Kevin and George, periodically we ask for money throughout the year to help fund different projects. And we're trying to put the budget together for 2017. And I need you guys to help support Anglican TV by writing checks and sending them to us or clicking the PayPal button. And basically, I don't want your Monday cyber stuff. I don't want your Black Friday stuff. I want you to give to your church first. I want you to give to your favorite ministries first. At the very end, if you have anything left over, the leftovers, they can go to Anglican TV, no matter how much, whether it's $1 million, $1,000, $10, or $1. I'm putting a link here to anglican.inc/donate. You click on there, it'll give you details on how to send us a check if you want to send us a check, how to click the PayPal button if you want to help donate for next year. Now, demographically, I fully understand our audience, because when we do ask for money, there's always the priest from Arkansas who sends me a $5 check and says, that's all I got. There's no money in Episcopal priesthood, unless you're here in the Northeast. So I fully understand. I do note, however, that I do get most of my money from discretionary funds. If you want to, at the end of the year, look, I still have balance on my discretionary fund, and you don't want to, just give it back to the vestry, I'm all here. I'm here for you. That's the very definition of a leftover is the $22 left in your discretionary fund.
Or, Kevin, what we can recommend to our viewers is do what I did this morning. As I was getting ready to come to work, I reached into my wife's purse and I stole her checkbook.
Well,
it's our checkbook, but it is kept in my wife's purse under lock. $5. She'll never notice.
You should never know. Never know.
It's $25. That's not it. Getting her nails done costs more.
Yeah, little pedicures are like $70. It's $25.
I'm not advocating being sneaky. I'm advocating being prudential in your use of funds.
And this is putting things in perspective. When my dear wife gets her hair done, that's $170 you'll never see again. We're not asking for that. No. All right, we better move on to some news, George. Big news is I'm no longer driving a Honda Pilot. Is it the news of the week? No, but it's news for us because we have changed our method of travel here. I traded in the Honda Pilot for a Nissan Leaf. I've never heard of a Nissan Leaf, Kevin. Well, that's because it comes with a battery. It's not a combustion engine. It's something that you plug into the wall and it will go 80 miles for you. It's a really nice ride. But when I did the calculations...
It's an expensive golf cart, Kevin. Come on.
It really is. I should live in Florida. When I did the calculations, I never drive over 80 miles anywhere. When I go to a trip, I'll either rent a car. When I go to the airport down at JFK, I rent a car. So there was no real reason for me to have a car that used gas anymore. And so if you hear any noise from the garage, I have two electricians who've never installed a panel for an electric car. Basically, Laurel and Hardy, I'm waiting for the lights to go off here any minute, trying to install this little panel that plugs into my car.
Kevin, I saw that one electrician in the background. It's really Larry and Moe. I don't think Curly's...
It really is.
The three stooges
really
are you who have contracted to redo your electricity downstairs.
I was downstairs in the garage when they arrived, and they were. I don't know if you know this. Today in Connecticut, it's 10 degrees. It's really cold, and their first job this morning was an outside job. They weren't going to come here till like 1 or 2 o'clock. I get a call at 9 a.m. Oh, can we come over now? I said, a bit cold, yeah. And so they show up. One of the guys looks like he took a nice voltage shock already this morning. So I don't know if the show's going to be fully recorded. We'll see.
I didn't know the Larry Fine hairstyle had come back into style, sort of the Einstein.
He took a shock. But that's what they do, and they don't mind. 110, that's nothing. Yeah, that's my coffee in the morning. Whatever, okay. So,
Kevin, I mean, aren't electric cars basically either for wealthy college girls or greeny weenies? I mean, what is a red-blooded American gun owner doing with an electric car?
My holster fits right in the little glove thing in the seat. It's fine. But and my daughter from Pittsburgh says, "Dad, are you becoming an environmentalist?" No, I'm a practicalist. And I'm a business person. If I don't need to spend $70 a week on gas, I ain't gonna do it. And if all I have to do is plug the car in overnight, I can do that. I have a friend in California who's actually our fundraiser from California, who has a Nissan Leaf and a what's that other car?
Tesla.
Tesla. Jeez, I've not finished my coffee yet. Has a Tesla, and they do just fine. I would do just fine with the Tesla too. That's why your giving is so important. We're really off topic, George. News out there. There's 2 news stories we're going to cover here in the next 11 minutes. First, PBS, that's right, has decided to cut Religion and Newsweek Ethics Weekly show. It's a show they showed on Sunday mornings talking about religion news around the world. We are good friends with Gail Fentley and Kim Lawton, and we've traveled together. They show up in Episcopal events. No, that was just that's the battery light. And lo and behold, they're cut. And is it because people aren't watching or reading religious news? Because we've seen this amongst the industry, George. Why are these jobs being cut?
Well, Ruth Gledhill, the best religion journalist in newspapers today, was let go by the Times. And now they have occasional religion stories that they give to somebody in their late 20s who doesn't know anything whatsoever about religion. New York Times has a single religion reporter, Laurie Goodstein. Used to have 3 or 4. Washington Post has a single religion Sarah Pulliam Bailey is a religion reporter, but she's covered under sort of their feature people type thing. You look across the board, and the dynamics of the newspaper industry are that people, they're failing. New York Times profit was down 98% this year. I mean, they're that's a stock to sell, but. So the newspaper industry and the old media are making their cuts in things that they think they can get away with. Religion reporting. PBS never put any money, never put any marketing muscle behind this Religion News Ethics Weekly. And frankly, if you think about it, running that show on Sunday morning was a dumb marketing move because your natural audience is going to be somewhere else on Sunday morning.
Yeah, that's...
So, basically, I would watch it on either I would watch clips on the internet or because when it was on, I was working.
I know. It's one of those things. Now, but I don't think the secular world is invested at all in religion news. It's one of those off the topic, off things. Because whenever I read, if I'm
tell that to Sister Angelica and EWTN.
But if you're doing New York Times, if you're in the New York Times website and they have a Pope Francis story, it's 80% incorrect. The quotes are off. What they think of the certain topics, the theology is off, and the Pope now supports homosexual marriage. And you read the article and it doesn't say anything. The quote is not there. They're just going for the readership. But yes, if you look at EWTN, Anglican TV, other news sources, that lo and behold, people do want to watch news that's wholesome, that covers the gardens and not just the controversies, and there's still an interest in it.
And there's always an interest in a quality product. Now, in my time as a reporter, I started out writing 2,000 word stories. Then, about 10 years ago, they dropped down to 800 word stories. Now, for Anglican Ink, I seldom go over 400 or 500 words. And if I do, I have to have a really good reason. Because our audience has been trained through the changing attention span factors that they're not going to sit still for a 2,000 word story.
No.
Uh, in other words, the old format where every article was, well, maybe if I'm lucky, this will appear in the New Yorker in 2,000 words or 5,000 words.
Sure.
We can't do that anymore. Now, there's still a degree of craft and professional skill in crafting a 400 word story that is artistically and aesthetically good as well as informative. And so there's always a market for quality. But what we're seeing is that uh, media outlets are not investing in reporters. They're not giving reporters the training, if you will, to be able to perform a quality product. And they're doing what the Times of London did. They're taking somebody who costs, I don't know what Ruth's salary was, but they're letting go an expensive asset that performs 100% each time. And well, we can save half by hiring someone straight out of college who can show up and write 50 words on a religion event.
Yeah.
Um, Foolishness. It's foolishness.
Yeah, it is. So, it's sorry to see Kim and Gail go. We hope that there's a market out there for them. If donations come through really well for us, we could probably hire them on. We'll see.
Look at Anglican Ink, for instance.
Yeah.
Anglican Ink has an extraordinarily high readership. Anglican TV has an extraordinarily high viewership. And part of that is because we're so engaging and wonderful and people just love us.
And there's no competition. But that's other.
Well, there is competition in the written sphere.
Yeah.
And in the in the print side. But what's happening is that people are plumping for quality, but they don't want to pay for it because Anglican Ink is free.
Yeah.
And hint, wink, wink, you could donate.
You could donate. I
People,
hope that if you
people
get the
assume
theme
that
of the
this is
show,
always
it's called.
quality.
Yeah. Let's move on. We got one more story, a really pure Anglican story. Archbishop, I can't pronounce his name.
And he's not an archbishop. He's Bishop Josiah Adiwu Ferron.
Like I said, Bishop.
George Conger,
Yeah.
okay.
He's the chairman of the ACC, right?
Secretary General of the Anglican Consultative Council.
Yeah, we're coming off as amateurs who just want money today, George. Okay, he's the Secretary General of the ACC, and he gave an interview to a newspaper, and it's a 45-minute boring one. I listened to 8 minutes, and I let George listen to the whole thing. What did he have to say about GAFCON and the world around him, George?
He said nothing that those who know him didn't already know.
Yes.
He said these sorts of things to me. I've heard him say it to other things, but it's just one of these things where all of a sudden, well, Ruth Gledhill, for instance, broke the story. Church of Ireland Gazette put on their webpage the recording of his interview, and it sat there for 3 or 4 days. Ruth Gledhill in Christian Today basically, and I do encourage folks to read that story. Josiah Wadawa Ferron said Peter Akinola is despotic. Former Archbishop of Nigeria is a bully, that African archbishops are despotic, that they basically crack the whip and the other bishops stay in line. GAFCON is schismatic. That he went to the Jerusalem conference because he was forced to go. And in fact, he was so brave, he refused to accept money from Peter Akinola and the National Church to pay for his ticket. And that he disliked GAFCON. And basically, he didn't say anything he didn't already say, which is that he believes GAFCON is schismatic, that the American conservatives are funding all these problems in the overseas world, that, the reason why Peter Akinola is so mean and Nicholas Oko are so mean to Justin Welby is because wealthy Americans in South Carolina are footing the bill.
Well,
Now,
the biggest thing I heard him say is that the sexual problem will never end.
oh, yes, and that we should not attempt to even discuss it. That we should go along to get along. We should live with our differences. We should, as I said, Fred, this is nothing new. But from a purely insider baseball perspective, any hope that the Anglican Consultative Council and the ACE would be a source of reconciliation but within the divided church, that's over. Josiah Wadawa Faroon, caused a big controversy earlier this year when, here's a bit of a joke, he went on and on about corruption in Africa and standing up to it. Now, this is the guy who seated the Bishop of Nairobi at the ACC. Bishop of Nairobi was there because he forged.
Hit your mic a little. All right. There you go.
The Bishop of Nairobi went to get to the ACC meeting in Lusaka because he forged a letter from the Archbishop of Kenya. And then then Josiah Wadawa Faroon turned around and accused the Archbishop of Kenya of lying. In other words, I don't mean to be cruel, but Josiah Wadawa Faroon is a company man who's also a bit of an opportunist and a charlatan. Here's somebody condemning corruption, yet he facilitates corruption of the worst sort within the African church when it's to his benefit. He talks about reconciliation, yet he calls the leaders of one side despotic, schismatic, non-Christian people. Now, Kevin, I don't know, but, I don't think that's a really wise way forward. He stands for one thing, which is the company.
But that's also how he got his job. You're going to hire the company man, Justin Welby, the company man. Part of the thing, among the many things that bother me in this life, okay, one is the gross ignorance of press people within the national church offices, especially in the Church of England. And it carries on. Like Josiah Wadawa Faroon is called an archbishop by the ACNS, by Lambeth Palace. He was fired as an archbishop. He was the archbishop of a province within the Church of Nigeria, and he was not reelected. His contemporaries, his peers within the Church of Nigeria kicked him out, so that his last few years in office was as a regular bishop, not an archbishop. And yet he's touted as being an archbishop. Folks, that's not how you do it. Other thing that really annoyed me, Lambeth Palace put out a press release, and they called the Pope the Holy Father. Now, we have been, I don't know how many hundreds of years estranged from the Catholic Church. Yeah.
50 years of ecumenical relations. The Catholic Church will not call Anglicanism a church. They call it an ecclesial community because in their mind, we're not a true church. We refrain from calling the Pope the Holy Father because we do not see him as exercising papal authority over us. And then some half-wit at the Lambeth Palace press office issues some minor press release on Sudanese delegation visits, discuss meeting with Holy Father.
I know.
And Merry Christmas to you too, Kevin.
Yes, right. All right, well, we have hit our time limit. I think we've offended anybody over in England we could possibly offend. Don't forget, it's Giving Friday or Friday Leftovers.
I do have an English bank account, so if people in England want to give money to us,
absolutely.
We've offended the right people whom you dislike in England. You can support our work.
That's right. AMIE people, you've got to support us in buckets of coin. So that's the show. We're going to have a couple more before the end of Christmas. Do get your shopping done. Do keep, if you can't give, please keep us in your prayers. Running this type of ministry where you're holding the church accountable comes with lots of fraught. Look it up. I'm Kevin Carlson.
And I'm George Conger. And you've been watching episode 261 of Anglican Unscripted.